we still don't know where we're at as to whether we'll see those unique, never been done tricks before the Olympics because they are so death defying these days, and the athletes may be looking at especially those that are higher ranked like Scotty that are qualified already.
Yep.
Is it about self-preservation or is it about total dominance going in? So I think only an athlete could answer that question, but I think we'll definitely see stuff this season from now till in these next few events leading up to February then that we haven't seen before.
Welcome to the snowsbest.com podcast, It Takes a Village series, where we chat with Aussie athletes on their road to the Milano Cortina 2026 Winter Olympics and the village of people that helped get them there, from coaches to family members, judges, besties, officials, and more with your host, Miss Snow-It-All Rachel Oakes-Ash.
I always start with saying, I'm so excited. And it's like, is that all I ever am? I don't know. I can't start with that because we've got Adam Begg, a.k.a. Beggsy, FIS World Cup head judge on the SnowsBest It Takes a Village podcast today. Welcome to the podcast, Beggsy.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Love your background. Are you in Steamboat?
Thanks, I am. Yes, it's my nice little quaint room. Sunny outside today. It's the first day it's actually been really warm here for a bit. It's sort of spring-like.
So don't tell us that because we actually all want to go over there, but that's all right.
Yeah, still white on the ground.
Yeah. Still, I love that saying. How great is that? It's still white on the ground. What does it matter? Yeah. Come skiing, come snowboarding.
Anytime you strap in's fun.
Oh, exactly. And it's great to have you on because, I'm a skier, so I don't know a ton about snowboarding. I have obviously snowboarding friends and we report on snowboarding, obviously, but I get my snowboarder friends to report more on it. You'd know Alex Parsons. She was a ski patroller. No, she was backcountry guide at Thredbo, where you also work. So we're really thrilled to have you because we've had your counterparts in ski. We've had Zoe Jabor and Tori Beattie on the podcast talking about armchair judging. So we want to talk to you about big air, half pipe and slope style. But this is really your strength, I guess, being an advocate for the riders because this is one of your core skills. How has that come about? Did you start being an advocate for riders when you started judging, or was there very much a divide?
There's always been a divide. Most judges are ex-riders, so there's always a voice there that, like, we're passionate core snowboarders at heart. But before the last few years, there's always been this us and them mentality or a real divide between the judges and the competitors. And we were sort of often a faceless punching bag. It's probably one of those most thankless jobs in the sport. There's definitely, when it goes well, people aren't really there to pat you on the back. And when it goes badly, they're the first to queue up or jump online and say things. So I think I wanted to change that when I took over as head judge. And I really want to have it. So we started with riders meeting, but I really want to have it so the riders take on the direction of the sport. It shouldn't be the judges saying, this is where we want to see snowboarding go. And so I've had this big one about what we'd like to, instead of it's what do the judges want to see, it's like would the riders like to see the sport go. So I've been a big advocate of trying to, obviously not having people lobby for their own tricks, but as a community say, which direction do we want to go? Do we want to keep adding another 180 till we hit 25? Or do we want to spin and make things look good and have like a split prong approach, I guess, to having these cool sort of rodeo and other axis type tricks that may be only a 1260, but it compares with a 1980. So
how do you compare those? How do you compare those two? Like, does somebody automatically get a higher score because it's the first time this particular trick has ever been landed in competition?
To a degree, I think it's like that. It's kind of like judging apples and oranges. It is hard, but we do that. These days with Red Bull High Performance Camps, Sassafay Stomping Grounds, Prime Park in Dubai, there's all these training camps and these riders are basically on snow 10 or 11 months a year and they've got airbags. They've got all these facilities to learn the tricks. So when they see a trick go down, then everyone starts chasing that. So we look at it as a frequency thing. So if there's a lot of people doing it, then that takes the difficulty down. And after years, at the moment, I would say out of that top 60 that are going to jump tomorrow, nearly all of them can do an 1800, but barely any of them can do a backside rodeo 14. Right. So they'd much rather spin a 180 where it's flat, and should they come out of it, they're just going to maybe sit it down, or the consequences are smaller, whereas some of those off-axis or unique tricks, the consequences are a lot higher. So we do it based off frequency, and then we just try and talk to the riders. Often, obviously, we'd like to hear from the rider doing it, but some people prefer to spin frontside, some prefer to spin backside. and we just try and get a feel from the community, the coaches, on how difficult those tricks are. And then it's a learning process. We'll score them and try and get them in the range, and then obviously take feedback after the comp, whether that be good or bad, and then try and get them into a spot where are they executed well, then they fit in that range. And that's, I guess, how we place
So
them.
will they tell you before the competition that they're going to do a particular trick, or do you just notice that in training?
In training, we spend all day, every day up on the knuckle of the jump. We chat to the coaches, we watch the riders, we follow them all on Instagram. I try and have a chat to a few of the riders at the top, or a few of the key coaches that are more vocal, and ask them. I'll make sure for that first hour of training, I'm actually at the top where the coaches are too. So I'm hearing the chatter and just chatting to them about how they're generally feeling about the jump, how big they think the rotations are going to be, what their strategy might be, what they're thinking of doing. If I've seen they've done a new trick at a training camp in summer, I'd sort of go and talk to them or their coach and say, what are the chances here? Are you thinking of throwing it? And then we speak about them and say, should they do this? Where do we think it'll end up? And then obviously it comes down to how it works on the day.
So, well, that's interesting because I think Tori, I can't remember which one of Tori or Zoe was saying that they don't get to watch training. I can't remember which one. I'll have to check. Yeah,
it'll be Zoe if the remote, because Tori with the free skiers, they're on site too.
Yeah, lucky them. So how did you guys ensure that you didn't have to do remote? Because freestyle does remote, which is just ridiculous in my eyes.
I think we banded together as a community and basically just said no. We sort of said it's not fair for the riders or the judges. It's likely to jeopardize our reputation because the result may be tainted. It may not be as good. There's so many things we do in those few days leading up to it that help get a good result. And I think we sold that. And there was talk that they may just get a bunch of cheaper, more inexperienced judges. And I think that's probably when some of the key athletes and coaches and bigger nations stepped in it and said that they support us coming to events.
Yeah, wouldn't you just fight back against that? Is this as a result of what happened in Beijing with the judging? And I mean, that was quite full on. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I think it just comes down to a bottom line. It's event organisers. Okay. Everyone's got it. There's airfares, there's accommodation, there's food, there's a daily salary. So times that by 6 judges for a bigger or a half pipe, or 10 judges for a slope style, it starts to add up before you've even paid prize money, paid resorts, lift tickets, all the rest of it. So it's definitely a ROI on the bottom line, I think.
Yeah, but snowboarding is, and particularly half pipe, is an international, almost mainstream sport, really. I mean, everyone in the world knows who Shaun White is. Whether they snowboard or not. So, and also when it comes to that half pipe Olympic event, that's always sold out. That's a high demand event. So I don't understand why they wouldn't put money into the snowboarding and wouldn't just automatically go, you have to be on site, particularly, who was it? Was it Mark McMorris who was saying that they don't pay you judges enough?
Yeah, I think a lot of the riders are starting to be a bit more outspoken for that, which is good. I think there's a push to have it like the World Surf Tour. It's really good. I'll always take more money, but I think to have like the World Surf Tour where there's judges that follow the tour around, and I wouldn't say care. I've tried to push it that if we learn, we obviously try and do our best every time. The whole reason we're there is to create a good outcome and get the best result for everyone. When the athletes are happy, we're happy, but if it goes wrong, it's not because we're paid badly and we don't care. Which is an old school mentality. So that's around, but there's definitely the riders like, the judges don't come to every event. They don't do this. So I think we've definitely flipped that around.
I mean, you clearly care because you're advocating for the athletes. You're spending time in training, which, if you're remote, you don't have to do. You're putting more time and effort into it. Do you think that, what's the story with judging? Because in moguls, Zoe was saying that they're not specifically pushed to actually watch a replay. And I know that there was all that hell that went down in Beijing over Max Parrott and his grab not being a grab, actually grabbing his ankle. Was that because you didn't get to see the angles on the – is it? Can you tell me? I don't want to tell you what it was because I don't know.
I was actually on rails at that one, so I had the unfortunate – I wasn't – so basically with slope style – they split the course up, the first 2 features, the second 2 features, the third 2 features. Each judge judges those features like its own competition.
Yep.
And then there's 3 judges judging, and overall they do composition and flow and pick up the things that are missed between the features. So basically the judges hone in on their features. So I was on the first 2 rails, but in that particular course, I could score, and then I'd look up and I had access to the program feed, so I could watch the rest of the run if I got my score in quick. Or by the time they were getting down to the bottom, we were sort of sitting there watching as rail judges. And that one, it's very limited time to put in a score. And what happened is it's a perfect storm. It was the angle of the camera where he grabbed his knee. You couldn't see it. Like, I can watch it to this day knowing what happened and being there in the booth. And that particular angle, you just don't see that executional flaw. From that angle, it looks like he's grabbing his board, but instead of grabbing, he's actually on his knee, not his board. What happened there, the judges had their heads down. They were doing a score. It popped up on the screen to myself and the other rail judge, but it was the front angle from the bottom zoomed in, and all we could see was this knee grab. And we sort of said, hey, there's a knee grab. Stop. Can we do anything about it? And by that stage, the score was kind of in the pipeline. So you sort of type in a score, goes to the data guys. They then send it to production, and OBS, like the Olympic broadcasting system. So unlike with FIS events, they're a different beast. They're about a TV production, hence the timing. You've only got 10 to 25 seconds to score because there's a 1.5 hour slot. We need to be finished. All the rest of the things that go along with the TV production. So basically with that one, we didn't get the chance to, we were trying to call a technical glitch or call the score back. So unfortunately, we knew before we'd even left the booth that mistake had been made, but the decision was made, and it was an OBS call that this is going to go out into the wide world, and we copped a lot of heat for it. We got the community in, had a big meeting with the riders and the coaches afterwards and explained what happened, and obviously apologised and said that wasn't our intention, and tried to sort of fix it moving forward. And as a result of that, at this next Olympics, it looks like our judge team's going to have our own camera team.
Fantastic.
So we're bringing in our own switches, 5 or 6 cameras. We're going to have all the angles, because the other thing we like is a consistent feed. So we want everything to be the same so we can see trajectory, pop, consistency with that angle. So we're judging the same thing every time. And so we've got that. We'd often have the other angles for replays if we need it, or if we need to see something like that. But by having our own camera team, we're not bound by a producer who wants the guy in the sky shot, or I want the drone angle for this, or I'm putting together a story here. Don't you guys come at me with a knee grab. Like, this is about the bigger picture in the story. So hopefully.
No, it's not about the bigger picture in the story. It's about the judging. It's about getting it right. Good on you for the changes.
My argument would be, if you get it right and the story's better, everyone's happy. You get the correct gold medal, there you've got a story. But
people love a story where something's gone wrong as well. Negative tends to sell a lot of papers.
It does.
Not that people buy papers anymore, but you know what I mean. But you copped a lot of flack for that, didn't you? Get death threats? Like, that's
we did.
ridiculous.
Certain judges did. It was one of those ones especially COVID, the Olympics, because you were already in a literal bubble, but usually you're in that Olympics bubble. You're in Pyeongchang, I think. You go into that and it's just one big media circus. There's riders, there's athletes, and it's very insular that everything's about the Olympics. You can't really ride anywhere. All is about that one big show. So you're kind of in that and living it. And we didn't realize how big that had gone virally outside of that. And with Japanese internet, Chinese internet, sorry, and I think it was on WeChat or something, but it blew up. There was 220 million sort of things. There was memes made, and people, like, it was like the Bing Dwen Olympic model and shooting the biathlete shooting the Canadian or something like that. There was it was very full on, I think, to the point where that next morning we sort of went into damage control and blocked all our messages on Instagram and made sure that I think it was that point, it was more about well-being, because obviously some people, it's water off a duck's backs. Different people take more on with a situation like that. So just letting people know that in that situation, there's nothing we could have done to change the outcome. The result ended up the way it was, and we judged what we saw at the time. But yeah, it's just hard when the wider world, and especially some of the snowboard media, was pretty full on for a period until we got our word out.
Ah, yes. So I feel, though, that nobody deserves death threats, but also your experience at Threadbow as being safety manager will have helped you manage that situation with your fellow judges, did it?
I think so. I think that definitely used to being in high-pressure situations and crisis. For some reason, I seem to sign up for these high-pressure jobs and saying I'd be head judge at this next Olympics. So I feel like that's just a skill set that So being calm under pressure and knowing when to sort of do those things definitely helps.
But it is so exciting because I don't believe we've actually had an Australian head judge at this
I
level
don't think
before
so.
at an Olympics at all. Or have we even had it in FIS World Cups? I don't think so.
Probably
You're
not.
you're it.
Yeah, and I do hear it all the time. We're expensive. We're a long way away. We're very much an island in the middle of nowhere, and we're not a snow sports nation per se. So I feel like whenever you start to rise through the ranks, there's always that pushback going, oh, it takes them so much longer to get there. And
Oh, for God's sake! Here's the thing: we may not be a snowboard and ski nation. We may be known for beach more, but we win a lot of stuff when it comes to terrain parks, to park and pipe and freestyle, where you don't need to have long GS turns. Or we even do really well in the Freeride World Tour. Michaela, Davis-Meehan,
yeah,
hello,
we certainly punch above our weight in winter
we do.
sports. So
Yeah,
I think I'm the
like New
first from this
Zealand.
region.
Yeah,
And then obviously with Tori and Zoe
yeah.
judging as well. So we've sort of got a good little contingent coming out of Australia.
I know, and all three of you will be at Livigno, which will be very exciting. Who should we be looking out for in Livigno, do you think? Are you thinking that we're going to see tricks that haven't been laid down before?
I don't know whether we'll see them in the lead up. I think we had
Right.
a quick chat offline about this, about risk versus reward,
Yep.
and we still don't know where we're at as to whether we'll see those unique, never been done tricks before the Olympics because they are so death defying these days, and the athletes may be looking at especially those that are higher ranked, like Scotty, that are qualified already.
Yep.
Is it about self preservation or is it about total dominance going in? So I think only an athlete could answer that question,
Oh,
but I
it's
think
hard
we'll
though, isn't
definitely
it?
see stuff this season from now till in these next few events leading up to February than that we haven't seen before. And I know a few of the athletes have either had private pipes or private jump sessions on the bag. I've had coaches show me tricks that have been done in the airbag that haven't been done on
Awesome.
snow yet. So I know there's definitely a bunch of girls and guys holding onto some pretty cool stuff. And then there's other riders that are holding onto tricks that I've heard about that will still refuse to tell me,
Okay.
despite being in our best interests.
So Scotty went in as the powerhouse at Pyeongchang. So I wonder, and then he came in at bronze after the Japanese and Sean. I love how I just say Japanese because there's so many Japanese riders and they're all so freaking good. And as we're going to find out today with Scotty in the finals today in half pipe. Oh no, is it today? Yeah, today at 2:00 Australia time. Even though this podcast probably won't be on till after that, so we'll know whether he did it or not. One of the OWIA guys referred to it as Scotty versus Japan because there's 7 Japan riders in the finals, and the 7 Japan riders were the ones that competed in qualies. So the entire team made the half pipe finals.
It's incredible, that result. And the crazy thing for that is they'll only have 4 spots at the Olympics.
Oh,
So
no.
trying to be a Japanese selector, so the way the Olympics works, your maximum quota spot is 4. So those powerhouse
Of
nations,
course.
there'll be 3 in the finals today that won't even. So they will be going for it. So
Yeah, they
when
will.
you talk about tricks that haven't been done, those
Yeah, they will.
those Japanese are going to have to just to even get a ticket to the show.
They will. Like, I do wonder because you look at, we were talking offline, as you said, about moguls in particular and Mikael Kingsbury being the GOAT and going for his 100th gold on FIS World Cup level. In Ruka, that course was pretty brutal. And he injured himself in summer on a water ramp, I think his ribs or something, or his hip. I think it was his hip. And he came back and he was competing at Ruka and he decided after qualifying for the finals, he wasn't actually going to compete in the finals. Not because he injured himself in qualifications, he didn't, but he obviously didn't want to take I'm speaking on behalf of him, but I've never spoken to him. So, but he obviously wanted to didn't want to take the risk going into an Olympic year. Also, it would be great if he got the 100 in Canada, which I think is next week. He got it as a home nation. I think that'd be pretty cool. So it's interesting. And Chikara in her finals run in the first, that was a double header in Ruka. She obviously came out and won gold in the next one, but she sort of messed up a little bit in the beginning of her finals run, and then she just skied off and down. And I thought, I wonder if that's because she doesn't want to risk it either, because she had the collarbone injury, because no one wants to have an injury before the Olympics.
No, there's definitely riders thinking about self-preservation this season. You can see it in training and how it's all working.
But you also don't want to go into the Olympics having walked on eggshells the entire season, because now you've got an eggshell mentality.
Yeah, it's really interesting to even talking to teams and how they're going to play it, because with especially half pipe and slopestyle, there's quite an aggressive schedule after Christmas leading into
Right.
Milan. So some
Well, there's
people are
Aspen.
choosing,
Sorry, go on, Beggsy.
Aspen straight to Larks.
Yeah.
Most of the top riders then come back for a week of X Games, then back over to Milan. So it's back to back to back. The Calgary pipe is actually the week before Aspen. So the pipe
Oh,
riders are
yep.
going back to back to back. So there's a
Well,
lot there.
Scott,
So some of the people that are qualified are going to go do a week in Hawaii or have a team building somewhere in southern Italy and be off snow. Others are choosing to ride somewhere else and just stay in Larks after Larks and not do X Games. And then others are going to go after the whole lot. So
well, I imagine Scotty will have to do X Games. He's invested in it. Plus, he also wants to get that record. What is he, 5 already? It would be 6
yeah,
consecutive,
he's got a
wouldn't it?
number for that. So
He's
maybe that's it.
Yeah, so 6 consecutive. I think Sean White had 7 consecutive, didn't he? So in
Yeah,
Aspen,
I think he's
X Games
definitely
gold.
challenging
Yeah,
Sean for how many golds he's got, and
yeah.
that's a
But
pet
he won't have
event
to
for
do anything
him.
else because he's already qualified. But with Val, will he have to do, if he doesn't make the finals for Big Air this weekend, does that mean he hasn't qualified for Big Air? But he can still
I
get a
don't
discretionary spot through Snow Australia and
I don't
OWIA.
understand how I think he still has, like, he's got a quota spot, but I think he still
Yeah.
has to earn that quota spot
Ah,
himself. Or
okay.
we've got the one Australian spot, and I don't know
Yeah.
100% sure how it works, but he still has to be in the top 30.
But they still have a discretionary clause within the OWIA and Snow Australia, which gets, I don't know if that is impacted by IOC. They have a discretionary clause. Let's say 2 people qualify, one person qualifies higher than the other. The discretionary clause will allow them to put the person who's lower in above the one that's higher if they want, because they've both
Yeah.
qualified
But then they've
already.
still got to make the 30 to get a
Yeah, they do.
start.
That's
So
right.
Australia,
Yeah.
because you've got your 4 Japanese who are probably going to lock it up, 4 Canadians, 4 Swiss, and suddenly you're at 12 riders. So you'd
But
only
Val was midfield. Val was
he
midfield though
was
last,
he's midfield. He should be right. I
so
think
he
he'll
should
be
be
right.
fine. He was midfield
Yeah, he
last
should
one.
be fine.
Yeah.
His problem is, unfortunately, he's just had a really untimely injury. So
I know.
he was
I
actually, he
know.
won the Globe before he got hurt.
He
So he
did.
was basically in first. He was making every
Yep.
final. The sport's progressed a lot since he's been off, and now he's got that delicate balance of self-preservation and qualifying, and then he's up against the schedule. Like, he
How
literally
can you
can't
not
split
love
himself
Val
between
though?
Secret Garden and here.
Yeah.
Oh,
You,
he's a great kid. My kids
oh,
love him.
I
He
adore
always
him.
takes time out of his day to go and talk to them on the chair. He remembers all the young kids' names. He's a great ambassador for the
So he's
sport.
such a great ambassador for the sport. He really is. We had the same knee surgeon this year. Though obviously, I'm not competing at the Olympics, but he
At
is.
least
He
you're in
is.
good hands then.
Well, apparently, although I had to go back in a second time, but that's because I had to get the hardware taken out. He is. Yeah, like Val is just. I saw him in Perisher this year at the opening of the chairlift, and he signed with Perisher this year as well, and just so generous with his time, so generous. And
Yeah.
you watch him with the kids, as you just said, you watch him with these kids that are getting on the chairlift who know who he is. He doesn't know them from a bar of soap. And they're like, hey, Val, and he stops and has a chat to them. And I just think, you're such a rock star. You really are. I mean, it would be great if he can compete in all 3 disciplines, but we'll see what happens. That's what I love
I
about
hope
the
so.
Olympics. We just don't know.
Yeah.
We just don't know. And some
Yeah.
people are already overshooting themselves and having terrible injuries as a result, or just having accidental injuries that really sort of crush their dream at this time. And that's why the Olympics is the Olympics, because it's all about emotion, really, isn't it?
Yeah. I
So,
hope if he does, someone jumps onto that, because I think there's such a difference and such a divide between halfpipe and big air that I don't know if people really understand how difficult that would be or what a feat it'd be. It's almost like going to a Summer Olympics and swimming and running and going, I'm in the 100 meters freestyle, but I'm also in the 100 meters track. Like, it is so far apart. Like, yes, you've got, well, it's actually probably almost a different snowboard like style on your foot, but the way, to be able to do those 2 different events that are so specialized and so high level at this stage is incredible if he does it.
and what is he, 19?
He's young. He makes me
Yeah,
feel
he's
old.
young. Yeah, he's young. He's pretty awesome. Like, he's still got a lot of years ahead of him. When you look at Scotty, what's he, 30-something?
33 or 34, I think.
Yeah. Okay, let's just talk about Olympic judging, armchair judging. What are we looking for in halfpipe if we're sitting in our chair watching the feed at the Olympics? How do you judge it?
The easiest way to do it is off criteria. So we've got sort of a couple of main criteria. Progression. Is it progressing? Is it progressive? Is it new? And that could come down to linking a combination. Amplitude. That's the easiest one as an armchair critic to know. Are they high out of the pipe or are they low or are they consistently high? Especially in half pipe, there's one rule's like riding left-handed, so you've got a high, low, or is it high? So amplitude's a really easy one just as a viewer to look on. Variety, do they spin different directions or do they constantly spin the same way? Variety could even be on the front side wall, you spin a flat one time or you do a flipped the second time. So you can change your axis, you can change your grabs. So variety is the third one. And then finally, execution. Are your hands on the ground? Are you flapping? So there's that balance of amplitude and execution are probably the two easiest for an armchair critic to look at. That's the main one. And then the way we do it, we've got 6 judges in the booth, and then we drop the high and low score. So if there's any outliers, they kind of get done, and then we average the rest. So it's pretty easy. That way you get somewhat of an agreement on the scores, hopefully.
So in half pipe with the 6 judges, each of them judging something different?
No, they all judge the same thing. They all judge.
Okay,
so we use those criteria to separate the run. So it's a way to quantify a subjective sport. Like it's very subjective you're watching, but amplitude's not that subjective. It's a fact. You either went big or you went small. So the way we communicate it back to the riders afterwards or to people with scoring, it's a bit transparent. You went this big, so we marked you according to that. It was quite progressive. No one's ever put those 3 tricks together, or there's a trick that you're one of 3 people doing in the world, so we consider that progressive. Was it difficult? Did you just take the easy option and go really big but not do any tricks? So with those criteria, we can always come to like you've obviously got your gut score, but then we've got some justification behind the score. So we're not just saying, oh, that's a 65, cool, put it as a 65. We write down every trick, how it's executed, how high it is. So we've got this sort of shorthand steno system that we use, and we're like frontside 1080, good amplitude, good grab, mute grab. And so we've got every little detail of that trip for every trick. It happens really quick and you're sort of up and down. But then at the end of the time, we've got that this is why that run is the way it is. And then often when it comes to splitting a decision, we might have 2 riders who it's almost a split panel. It's 3 judges and 3 judges.
Right.
I'll go back to the judges and say, okay, who won that first hit? This person. Who won the second hit? This person. Who won the third hit? And then hopefully by the end, might cancel each other out. And hopefully you've got a 2-to-1 there. Or the other thing with the criteria, which run was the most progressive? Oh, that was this guy. Which one was the most amplitude? That was this person again. Which one was the most execution? That was over here. And then this one had the most variety, so they win 3-to-1. And so I try and use that to split ties. So then again, if the athletes come to the booth or their coaches come, we've got some real method behind our madness. It's not just he got a 70 and you got an 80, sorry, that's how it was. It's like this is why, and this is the means we got to why, I guess.
And obviously you keep records of all of that.
Everything's written down to the last little trick. And then I often, when I'll split a tie like that, I've got that record so I don't bumble when I go out to the coach, so I know what I'm talking about. It's like, these are what the people saw, and if I need to, then I'll pull one of the experts out and say, hey, come and talk to this coach with me, explain to them why you saw that or why you saw a knee grab or that their grab was short.
One of the biggest things, I think, for people watching snowboarding on television and people that don't necessarily watch snowboarding a lot, you'll see an incredible run in the half pipe and you'll just be blown away. And then you'll be like, I don't understand why they didn't get a higher score. And the average person may not understand their hand touched the pipe or their hand touched that final run in as you come back off the pipe, your final jump, and you've got your turn down here, because you know how often people go like that. And so people don't realise you can't. It's like soccer. You're not allowed to touch it. You can't touch it with your hands.
They're all so good these days with airbags and training camps that we're splitting hairs. Like these distances are so minute. It might not even be a hand touch. It might be, especially after Beijing, it might be, was their knee hooked? Was it under the thing? Was the grab a faux grab? Their hands just hanging by the board but not actually grabbing.
Right.
So there's all these little things we may see, or even when it comes to rotations, if they land in the pipe and it's slightly sideways and it's the edge that they land on, and that then affects their next amplitude. There's all these tiny little intricacies that we have to judge on now just to separate, because they've all got good.
But you know that more because you actually snowboard yourself, surely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And we know that go back to the on-site judging, we know because we've been through the pipe and we know that second hit's really icy and it's just glass after that, and they've adjusted their line to cope with that, so which we wouldn't know from sitting in a dark room.
So you go
in
into the
Australia.
pipe yourselves and ride it. You ride the pipe yourself.
Often.
Okay.
Yeah, and ride along the course and go in and have a look. And
Nice. So with the shorthand, etc., and with the issue in Beijing, would AI help that or hinder that? Because Tori mentioned that in AI, this thing where you're looking up and down, you're doing shorthand, that if AI could just take care of the shorthand, then you'd be able to just keep watching.
For sure. I think I'm a big proponent from AI. I
Mm-hmm.
think if it's done right and they consult with some experts, I think we can do it really well. At the moment, X Games is using AI to try and do a whole run and call tricks and grabs and execution and put a score. And it's really not working. And unfortunately, it's making it look really bad. And the community's already off it. Whereas where I'd like to see it go is, I sort of said before about facts and subjectivity. AI can take care of the facts. It can say consistently, this hit was 4 meters, this hit was 3.2, this was higher than that. And that's a fact. It can say that grab was 30% of that rotation, which was a 720 or a 1080. There's no missed directions tricks. There's no, was that grab actually on the board? They're facts. And then that can leave us down to that subjectivity, the combos, the progressiveness, the things that you've got to plug into AI and you're only as good as your prompts type of thing. So I feel there's a big market for it there if it's done right. At the moment, I just think there's people spending money in all the wrong places. They're sort of going off on the wrong route as opposed to going, we can do this really, really well and assist the judges. So I'm like down for it.
AI is not actually going to judge. It's not going to give you the points. It's just going to tell you what the trick was, what the amplitude was, etc., which will help you with your shorthand and make you allow you to see it more. Yeah, watch more.
Yeah, I think I'm a big one too. Like if you're that good, it's all up here anyway. Like AI is not going to replace that. It can just make it better and assist it. You've still got to sift through all the jargon and the junk in there, the hallucinations, the stuff that's not quite there.
I love hallucinations.
That's where the judge's brain comes in. But like I say, if it can give us the facts and make those facts true, then it would allow us a lot more time in that 25 seconds that we have to judge to do our job better.
So just before we go into armchair judging Big Air, what favourites judging? Do judges have favourites?
No,
Do you know who you're even scoring as you're scoring them? Like, are you aware of who that person is?
Yep. Be remiss if we said we didn't. We follow all these guys on Instagram. We know their kits. I actually, there was a real old school mentality when I started 25 years ago that you only judge a bib number. You don't have favoritism, but there's people that are doing certain tricks. There's people that are doing tricks a certain way. If I wouldn't be a good judge if I didn't recognize that instantly. I can see someone drop in and their style or the way they grab or the trick that they do. I'm like, oh, that's that person. So you have to acknowledge that, I think, and then get past that. And we just judge what we see on the day. So it's that weird one. It's probably the same as an armchair person. You get invested in everyone, and as they start to progress and see it, you just want them to land runs and you want them all to win. Like when someone goes down, the whole booth, arms in the air, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe they fell. And then when someone lands, same things. You drop your pen and like, oh, that was awesome. You don't care what country, who it is. You just seen the most amazing thing you've ever seen in your life and you get to put a score to it.
If you're invested in the progression of the sport, or if you're invested in seeing things for the first time happen for the first time in competition, also if you're invested in just your country, like I look at moguls and I am personally invested in Ikuma because I think he's one of the best mogul skiers there is. But I'm just as invested with Matt Graham because he's blown us away this season already. He continues to blow us away, and he's Australian and he's a dad. And therefore I'm also invested in Mikael Kingsbury because he's going for number 100. He's the GOAT, and the three of them are all fathers. So, there are 1,000 different reasons you invest in an athlete, not just because they're brilliant at what they do.
Totally. And we all
as an armchair.
Eat, breathe and live this sport, and we just want the best for the sport. So we are all about every aspect of it.
So what are we looking for in Big Air as an armchair judge?
Back to that criteria again. So for Big Air, it's progression, amplitude, difficulty, and execution. So with that one, it's only the 4. The variety is actually in the format. So with Big Air currently, the format is best 2 of 3 tricks, and the tricks have to be 2 different directions. So the variety comes in that format in that you have to spin. For the men, it's a left and a right spin. For the women, it's 4 different directions.
And a left and a right spin in the same jump?
No, so they get one jump.
Because I'm like, how do they do that?
So I think it came about when airbags first came along. Right. And for us snowboarders, a frontside spin, for me as a regular footer, frontside spin spinning left, and a switch backside spin spinning left. So we got these people off airbags that all they did was train one trick, one direction. And essentially, if I was to do a frontside 10, that's a left spinning 1080. If I do a switch backside 9, it's exactly the same trick, except I'm 180. The second I've thrown that takeoff, I'm into a frontside 10. So they're basically doing the same different trick, but it's called two different things because of the takeoff. So that variety format then forces someone to spin their uncomfortable way. And because those two, we didn't get these one-hit wonders that just trained one trick on an airbag and could only do that one trick and couldn't really snowboard that well. And the sport was just taking off in that direction. The variety slowed it down and we got back to this solid progression because you had good fundamentals. You could spin all four directions. The variety was basically forced on you. It wasn't a criteria. So that's
Right.
taken care of in the format. And then we go back to difficulty. Is it hard? Are the number of rotations hard? Does that grab put you on a different axis? Amplitude, it's called big air for a reason. And that's not a long jump or a shooting jump. It's the trajectory, it's the pop and the amplitude, and then we have what's called a sweet spot, and that's the optimum landing on the jump. And often that's about 2/3 of the way down, or between 1/3 and 2/3, and that's where there's minimal impact on the jump. Any bigger than that, you often have like a big compression on the impact. Any smaller than that, and that's where people sort of end up on the knuckle or get bounced. So that amplitude is trajectory and pop and shape, as opposed to just long jumping it to that bottom line. And then, like I said, varieties in the format. Execution's an easy one. Do they hand touch? Do they butt slap? Do they actually make their grab?
And do they land it
Yeah,
without
and
compressing?
landing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
All
big
right.
air's an easy one.
So tell us about your podcast, because I believe that you break down every competition, do you, on your podcast after the competition? What's it called, your podcast?
It's called On the Knuckle Podcast, and it was just something that myself and Gaz Vogan, so I was head judge and he's the judges education coordinator at the moment. So we both sit on what's called the JAG. It's the Judges Advisory Group. There's sort of 5 judges from around the world that sort of dictate the direction of judging and ensure that there's a pathway for future judges. So he's also does some commentating for Eurosports and for FIS. He does the border cross and free ski and stuff, so he's quite well spoken and good grasp of the English language. And so we break down the comps, the tricks, and just try and, I guess, put into words competition snowboarding, because it's very much got to the point where it's quite unrelatable. The size of the tricks are absolutely ridiculous. To the naked eye, it's hard to see. Unless it's not the way it used to be as far as attainable snowboarding. It's incredible what these guys and girls are doing. So we just try and give their talent the light it deserves, but in an impartial, sort of subjective way, where we're kind of educating people, including the riders and coaches, on how that last comp went.
Well, one would hope that they're all listening to it. Do you do it after every competition, or only the ones you're personally judging?
The intention is to do it after every competition. So we did last season. We sort of started over summer, so we had the benefit to be able to go back and do the whole big air season, the whole pipe season, the whole slope season as an episode. Then we did one on World Champs, and then this season we kind of going comp for comp at the moment. It's difficult with such an intense schedule. So we did China when we landed in America this week. We're going to Copper next week. We'll do the China's half pipe and this steamboat big air next week. And then there's Christmas and family and real job commitment. So our intention is to do them after every event. It's a big beast at the moment, so we'll see how we go.
Yeah, it's a big season for you, that's for sure. Now, you can listen to On the Knuckle on Spotify and Apple. Do you also put it on YouTube?
It's on YouTube, but it's not really done with clips at the moment. We're sort of doing some editing with clips on social media, so we bring some visuals to stories and like those social media posts. It is on YouTube, but it's more designed for Spotify and
What's
YouTube.
your Instagram handle?
I mean, Spotify and
and Apple,
is Beggs. Yeah, Spotify
What is it,
and
sorry?
Apple.
We're talking over each other. Hang on a second. What's your Instagram account?
Beggsy Rise.
And do you have one for your podcast as well?
On the Knuckle.
Awesome.
So hat on the Knuckle.
Awesome. Thank you so much for today. We've organised this very quickly last minute, so I really appreciate your time, because I know you've got a big weekend ahead and a huge season ahead. I look forward to actually seeing you in person at Livigno. It's going to be such an exciting few weeks in the Olympics at Milano Cortina 2026. And everyone have a listen and follow On the Knuckle podcast. But don't forget ours as well at Miss Know It All. Thanks, Beggsy.
Thank you. No, thank you. It was good to chat. And yeah, Thanks. It was glad we could fit something in such short notice.
I know, right?
Thanks for listening to the snowsbest.com podcast. If you like what you hear, be sure to review and subscribe via your favourite podcast platform. Like @MissSnowItAll on socials and hit up the snowsbest.com website for all your snow travel banter. This episode was produced on the land of the Gundungara people. We pay our respects to the elders, past and present.